Good morning. There is a cosmic energy, a universal energy, energy of the universe that we tap into when we draw a rune, whether we feel an electrical impulse or just some pull toward that rune. It just feels right in our hand or on our finger when we pass by. Same thing with tarot. When you pull a tarot card, the energies in play are directing your thoughts and actions toward drawing that specific rune. Intent. Mark Twain speaks about intent in one of his writings where he says he went to write a letter to a friend that he hadn't seen in a long time, and he hadn't started the letter. He was just thinking about writing the letter, and that thought process somehow had the friend contact him each time. That happened more than once. So there's an extra sensory perception, an ESP out there that is in play. But it's not just in humans. I'm reading a book now that shows that this cosmic energy, this ESP, is in animals and plants as well. As a matter of fact, plants experience fear, they experience pain, and they have a consciousness of their own. Not just the actual act of causing them pain, but the intent to cause them pain. And this is all outlined in the book, which I'll hold it up at the next stop sign. The intent to do harm is as powerful as the actual physical act of doing the harm. The people who did these scientific experiments also used different objects outside the realm of plants. And one fascinating study they did was on sperm, and how the sperm outside the body reacted when its owner was near, but when other men were near, it had no reaction, not until that owner. I will tag a video that shows this intent for harm and how the plant can actually perceive. Here, I'm hitting a stop sign. This is the name of the book, The Secret Life of Plants by Peter Tompkins and Christopher Bird. So there is a means by which plants, sperm, can sense what is taking place around them. And this is that universal consciousness in play. So this recognition of the sperm to its owner goes along with kin recognition, which I spoke about in the video I did down by the lake where I was talking about the Wood Wide Web. I think I called it kin relation there, but it's kin recognition. That is a direct connectivity, though, via the root system. And and it's used like fiber optic cables. This is using something that's not physical, a life force that recognizes its own and experiences feeling, has a consciousness. Our pagan ancestors knew this. Now, all of that, through that wood wide web, is surrounding a central figure, which is called the mother tree. That mother tree seems to feed all of the other kin in that area, using that wood wide web. So one has to wonder then, using the universal energies, if a plant or tree at the further extreme experiences an intent from someone, let's say the intent of an axeman to chop down a tree, is that intent then channeled back through all of the other kin via the wood wide web to give them warning, danger? Or is that even needed? Can it be communicated via the ESP cosmic forces that are in play? Now, the plants, because this book touches, at the end of chapter 1, he touches on a few things, but it's written about plants. The plants positively reacted to sex. When sex was brought up, the plants reacted in a positive way. So, and the author even states it in his book, that our pagan ancestors, when they would plant crops and then have intercourse or have fertility rituals at those crops, then the cosmic forces in play would actually have a positive influence on the growth of the crops, which then brings us to the rune cast that I did with the CERN Warrior just the other day. The CERN Warrior, fertility, the warrior aspect, crops, fertility in the area. I brought that up in the video. But what about just thoughts of sexual intercourse? What about thoughts of love with your spouse? Fondness, the positive influence that has on this universal intelligence. If you've ever made love out in the forest, how is the cosmic energy responding? How is the plant life responding if they respond in a office setting or an experiment positively when sex is just spoken about? These cosmic forces that respond in a positive nature to the discussion of sex, when you enter into sexual relations with your spouse in nature, has got to be overwhelming joy, just like what was done by our pagan ancestors when they planted crops. And we get people from the city that want to say, well, they're going to give us green energy. And they're going to put up fields of solar panels and windmills, and they're going to cut all of this down. All that ecosystem gone. All of that communication network between plants and plants, plants and animals, plants and humans are gone, so they can put up what they perceive to be green. Now, not just the act of doing it, but how is the universal energies, those cosmic forces, how are they reeling at the intent to do it? One final point, because he brings up an egg. It's a store-bought egg, unfertilized, and when he had the plant hooked up to the equipment and he cracked the egg, the plant reacted. And there was many experiments. I'm just using a few here. So he hooked up his equipment to another store-bought unfertilized egg, and there was a heartbeat. There shouldn't be a heartbeat. It's unfertilized. There shouldn't be any sound within that egg. The egg had that universal heartbeat of the cosmic energy within it. And the plant reacted to the destruction of that egg because it's the destruction of the cosmic force within that egg. So, my mind, which I always try to think outside the box and draw in other areas of thought. What about abortion? People talk about when is there a heartbeat, but the sperm reacted to its owner, and the unfertilized egg reacted, or the plant reacted, the energies reacted to the destruction of an unfertilized egg. But as soon as the two of them come together and fertilize, there's already cosmic energy, already a life force within that union, because the life force existed within them separately. So then you go back to intent. What is the cosmic forces that are out there and within all of the other beings, whether that's the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, the spirit animals? What is their reaction? How is the cosmos reeling from the intent to cause harm to the union between the sperm and the egg, long before that baby actually has an actual heartbeat that can be monitored by our equipment? This is very fascinating, a very good read that should make you think outside the box. And for pagans who are in tune with nature or want to increase their level of understanding with nature and their communion with nature, this book so far is very fascinating to me. Again, it's The Secret Life of Plants. Wait a minute, we're not done yet. A few other things I want to discuss, but I had to wait to get back to my car. It's obviously much different lighting right now, and in case it didn't come out, this is the book we're talking about. And What we need to discuss with this is metaphysics, the fourth dimension. We've included this in our book, Outside of Time, in our book, Baba Yaga Unveiled. And I've made a video on it, Folk Soul, Outside of Time. There's another video out there, it's called Hacking Reality. It's very good with helping you think in that arena outside of time. Frö. The Swedish word frö means seed, which is also translated in Icelandic as frey. Just like the Cern warrior, God Frey is depicted with a phallus. And his name, meaning seed, and goddess Freya, whose name means fertile or able to be impregnated. These two go hand in hand. So what we have in Uppsala is a statue of God Odin, a statue of God Thor, and a statue of God Frey. Odin represents the spirit that is regifted. I've covered this in videos. We've put this into our books. Thor is the Einherji. He is the one who leads in the bear to give rebirth to that Und, or spirit, of Odin in spring. But there's three masculine deities. Where's the feminine? Well, the feminine is what surrounds them. They are in the sacred enclosure. Uppsala is in the boreal forest, the sacred enclosure, the high place. The high place is the groves. So when our ancestors would go into these groves to procreate, and the plant life around them would feel joy because of this fourth dimensional force, cosmic energy. They would be eventually giving rebirth to their ancestors. Now, with this happening, the rebirth of the ancestor into the posterity, we have to remember, and we made a video, and it's called Do Women Go to Valhalla? The symbolism. Odin is the Und, the masculine Und, being born from the feminine Fensolir, or reborn from Valhalla. The haven is feminine. It goes into a vessel. Whether that vessel is in the flesh, masculine or feminine, makes no difference. But the Und is masculine. So the Und of Odin is masculine, as gifted from the mother goddess. When the egg is impregnated with the sperm in the fertile female, the frö, the frey, enters the egg. That sperm, that seed, has got kin recognition, just like I talked about earlier from the book that we're discussing. So the ancestor that is being reborn into that posterity, who's in that grove of Mother Goddess, who is gifting that Und, it is a very specific ancestor because it's his seed in posterity. And all of this is happening outside of time. So the spirit of the ancestor is waiting for the seed of posterity to enter the egg for fertilization, to give rebirth to that ancestor. And he recognizes his sperm, or the sperm recognizes the ancestor. I hope I am explaining this train of thought. I've been waiting to several hours to remake this video, but the camera was back in the car. So these groves that are the groves of the goddess were places of extreme importance, and the imagery that we have is more than the simplistic versions that we've been given. Remember, after the third generation, a lot of this knowledge gets lost because it's replaced by something that Abraham has manipulated or modified or lied about. The religious cults of Abraham. This is the fourth dimension. This is metaphysics. This is fascinating. And that is where I'll end this video. Till next time, or tils nästa gång. Good health, sir.